This is Dr. Gopinath. So in this lesson, I'm going to cover a few basic things related to cloud computing. In cloud computing, I'm going to cover up with virtualization as well as the hypervisor. Okay. So first, what is mean by cloud computing? As we discussed earlier, the cloud computing is the concept is about utilizing someone's resources by paying. Okay. For example, I'm going to start one organization. So what I have to do initially, I have to spend more money, for buying that resources like the server, computer, storage, likewise. So I have to invest more for the resources. So instead of that, someone having that resources, they are ready to offer that resources to others. So they are ready to pay for that. Oh, those who are ready to pay for that resources, they will pay and they will utilize the resources through the internet. So without the internet, the concept of cloud computing is not possible because we are going to utilize someone's resources. They are in somewhere. We are going to access someone's resources through the internet connection. So this is the concept of it. Okay. So as I told earlier, I'm going to start with the concept of virtualization. Okay. So virtualization, the common meaning for virtualization, as we know, virtualization is not real. Okay. So here, virtualization, we are going to create a virtual environment rather than the actual, like a server, desktop, storage device, operating system, or network resource. So what actually mean? So for example, I'm in need of one server. I'm not ready to buy that server. Okay, someone have that server. They are ready to give space on that server for rent, like rent. So we have to pay for that service. Okay. In other words, we will tell virtualization is a technology which allows to share a single physical instance of a resources or application among the multiple customer and organization. For example, one organization, they are giving server. Okay, what instead of giving that server to the single person, they may divide the thing and whoever asking for the services, they will give. Okay. So it does by assigning a logical name to a physical storage and provide a point to that physical resources when the organization or else the individuals we are asking for the services, the cloud service provider, they will provide that services, but the customer or else the person, those who are asking for that services, they have to pay for that services. Okay. So are you clear? Virtualization, it is not real. So because of paying for that, we are not supposed to tell we are the real owner of that service, the owner of that resources. Okay. We are accessing everything virtually. We are not the real owner. Okay. So I'm taking one more example. So every month or else we are recharging, our mobile. So what happening after that particular period? We will not getting that service. I'm right. So for example, I'm recharging for 3 months. After that particular date, it will not extend. So if we want to extend that service, we have to pay for it. Like this, here has work. The concept of cloud has work. Virtualization in cloud, there is a lot of things are there, steps are there in virtualization. Okay. So there is, you don't need to own the hardware because you need to buy that hardware. Someone having that hardware, we are paying and we are going to use that hardware. Okay. So they are giving for rent. They are paying and using, like they are giving operating system or else the software. We are running the operating system in someone's environment. They are allowing to run. Okay. So we have to pay only for that service what we are using. Okay. Next one. So what's the concept behind the virtualization? So three main things are there here. Host machine, guest machine, and third one is about the hypervisor. Okay. Host machine, the machine on which the virtual machine is created. This host machine. Guest machine, virtual machine refer as an guest machine. Virtual machine is the guest machine. Hypervisor, it is one of the firmware or the low-level programming that act as a virtual machine manager. This is one of the virtual machine manager. The three parameters: host machine, about the virtual machine, or else virtual machine is created, that is an host machine. Guest machine, virtual machine. Hypervisor is a virtual machine manager. Three things are there. Okay. Benefits, these are all the few benefits of the virtualization. First one, sharing of resources. It will reduce the cost for that organization or else individual. Isolation, encapsulation, and encapsulating complete computing environment in single virtual machine. Hardware independent. Virtual machine run independently or underlying hardware. Portability. It is about the virtual machine can migration between the different hosts. So these are all the few benefits of the virtualization. Next one is about the architecture of virtual machine. So this one shows the difference between the hosted hypervisor as well as bare metal hypervisor. So here you just see here hardware is down and before that host operating system is there. In between hypervisor is there. So after that virtual machine is there. So we will access the hypervisor through the virtual machine. Okay, bare metal hypervisor, we are removing that host operating system and we are directly connecting with the hypervisor. So we will see with the example later. So this is two pictures. One is stating before hypervisor and another one is stating after the hypervisor. So before the hypervisor is about before the virtualization and after the virtualization. Before the virtualization, individual server, it contains the application operating system and hardware as well. After the virtualization, we are keeping everything separate for that is separate individuals. Okay. Hypervisor. So I'm going to start with the hypervisor. Hypervisor is the form of virtualization software used in that host computing. It will divide and allocate the resources, hardware to that person, those who are asking for that service. Okay, so it will partitioning, it will do partitioning, isolation, abstraction, everything it will do. Okay, as we know, this is one of the hardware virtualization techniques. This one allows a multiple guest operating system to run on the single system, the same system. Okay? So we sometimes call it, we will tell this one as a virtual machine manager. Okay, this hypervisor, it will manage everything. Okay, so in short form, we will tell the idea of the virtual hypervisor is the software that you can use to run multiple virtual machines on the single physical machine. It will allow to run multiple physical machines on the single machine. Okay. So next, why use an hypervisor? Uh, Here, this without the hypervisor, we will face difficulties because the hypervisor is taking care of whole thing to manage the entire thing in that virtualization technique. Okay, so these are all the few things. So this picture clearly states what is meant by hypervisor and what is the mean by. Here hardware is there, in between hypervisor is there. So here number of operating system is there. So these are all the number of clients we may take, those who are asking for the service. This is the actual hyper hardware. So in between the hardware and the client, one person is sitting, that is hypervisor. So as we discussed earlier, hypervisor is a manager. So it will manage whoever asking for the service in this particular hardware or service provider. This hypervisor will manage everything. It will allocate and it will reallocate everything it will do. Okay. Two types of hypervisors are there. One is type 1 hypervisor and two is an type 2 hypervisor. So type 1 hypervisor, it runs directly on that host system. Otherwise, it is called as a native hypervisor. So it does not require any basic service operating system. It will directly access everything to the hardware. Okay. Type 2 hypervisor. So here, this is underlying host system. So separate system they are maintaining to manage everything. This is also known as a host hypervisor, hosted hypervisor. There is no any direct connection between the hardware. So type 1 hypervisor, direct connection with the hardware, but type 2 hypervisor, there is no any direct communication with the hardware. So in between one person is sitting, so that person will manage everything. Okay, hypervisor asks the operating system to make a hardware call whenever it is required. Okay, so this picture clearly stating what is by the type 1 hypervisor as well as what is meant by type 2 hypervisor. Okay, see this type 1 hypervisor. So one hardware is there, number of guests are there. In between one person is there, that is an hypervisor. So what it will do, it will directly access that hardware. So type 1 what will happen? So the guest, no, the host operating system will run directly in this hardware itself. Okay, but type 2 hypervisor, it is not like that. So in between one person is sitting, there is host OS. So there is no any direct communication between the hypervisor or the guest towards the hardware. So in between one person is sitting, there is an host operating system. So this hypervisor is connected with that host operating system. That host operating system will connect with the hardware. So this host operating system will take care of everything. Okay, thank you. So this session we discussed introduction or else basics about the cloud computing, as well as we discussed what is mean by virtualization and what is mean by hypervisor. Thank you. So next session we will see a little bit more about the cloud computing. Thank you.